one energy drink in. I was getting a little tired around lunchtime. I love this drive. I've done it a lot of times, this stretch here between Bozeman and Denver. It's absolutely 100% one of the clearest days in my memory. Speed limit is 80, and usually I keep it around like 85 to 88, something like that. It's about a 10-hour drive to where I'm going, and I don't have you know, Georgie, my dog, with me today, so I don't have to stop as often or go for walks, or, you know. And actually, as I was driving, I was thinking back, just moving to Bozeman, so moving away from Bozeman. And I was a little sad leaving the city, leaving town, because I really liked Bozeman. Both my wife and I love Bozeman. We had a great house in a nice neighborhood. We liked the area. We were, you know, there for about 4 years, so we were, you know, making friends. It was really weird staying in the house the last couple of days. It was virtually empty except for a bunch of beer that I'm bringing back. Boulder is a good town, and I actually remember when I first, maybe the first week or two, when we were in Bozeman. We were just vacationing at that time, by the way. We had not decided to move there. But when we were in Bozeman, I was like walking around parking lot. I was walking around a parking lot. I went to a coffee shop, and I went to the REI, and I was, you know, checking out the shopping center and retail area very close to where we were staying, and close to where we lived, actually. And I remember looking up at the Bridger Mountains, and I actually took a picture. This is on Instagram, if you go check out @Cunnington on Instagram, June of 2015. I took a picture of the Bridger Mountains from a parking lot, and I said, this place reminds me a lot of Boulder. It really does. It's not similar, but it's just mountains in the distance, which is cool. You know, I love that. Another thing I was thinking about, and I think I'm going off on a few tangents. I don't even remember where I started, but I got another 6 hours on the road here, so we got time. When I was thinking about driving away from Bozeman, I was actually thinking about driving into Bozeman. And there are two, like, occasions where I noted it because it was like some, you know, interesting milestone transitioning. You know, I'll remember this drive too, as I'm leaving, and it's kind of it's a good way to help transition into a new place. When we moved to Bozeman, we had our stuff in a storage unit in Atlanta, where we moved from. We were in Bozeman. We had our dog at the time, Brody, who's passed away, in the summer of 2015, and we were just vacationing, or slow travel, right? Basically, we decided to stay there instead of moving to Denver. All right, so we were actually thinking we'd move to Denver, but we ended up staying in Bozeman because we thought it was awesome. So our stuff is in storage, and the way we scoped out our plan, the way we planned it was, I was going to fly back, get the stuff out of storage, put it onto a U-Haul truck, put this truck that I'm driving right now, which is a full-size F-150, onto a trailer on the back of the U-Haul, and then drive it with my dad from Atlanta to Bozeman, which is about, it's a 3-day drive, I believe. 3-day drive. It's about 30 hours, if I remember right. About 30 hours, roughly. We crushed the drive. My dad and I, like, made an awesome time. We had a couple, like, interesting things happen on that drive from Atlanta to Bozeman. It started off kind of a little bit rocky. Number one, when you put a truck or an automobile on a trailer, you have to, basically you tie down the tires, right? You tie down the tires to hold it down. The trailer that we had, it was just barely big enough to hold my truck. Well, because my truck is kind of on the larger side as what you can carry on such a trailer, the tie-down straps wouldn't fit. And so the tie-down straps were too short. And when you tie something down, you need to have enough slack, enough extra tie-down strap. You need to have enough strap so that you can tie it down so that it has the tension. You can't, have like this much extra. You need to have like, a couple, a foot extra to make sure it doesn't slip. That's the expo, bought a couple tie-down straps, which, you know, I never looked for before, but they're readily available, and, you know, they're pretty high tension for relatively inexpensive, so I think I've spent maybe $40 for the straps that I needed, strapped down the tires, and then we were good to go. We got on the road, everything was good for about, I don't know, 25 minutes, and then the trailer we were pulling with my truck on it got a flat tire on the interstate. It was about 90 degrees. It was so hot. It was so hot. So it got a flat tire, and for people that are familiar with the Atlanta area, this was very close to Jimmy Carter Boulevard on 85 heading south. Luckily my dad was driving. He has more experience driving like large vehicles and emergency situations like that. So anyway, it went down. He put on the hazards, pulled over, and it turned out to be the best place we could have had a flat tire, probably. I called up U-Haul, told them the situation. They had somebody out there in like 15 minutes. If you're unfamiliar with the Atlanta area, or that area in general, it's just kind of a hub of retail and industry. There are offices just of many different companies. It's just, there's a shitload of businesses around there, including towing companies and contractors and vendors that I believe probably work for U-Haul. So U-Haul dispatched someone super fast, and we had a new tire on there, a spare, within like half an hour. So my dad and I just sat in the truck with the AC running because it was so hot, and we just sat in there and waited until they came, and it took the guy about, I don't know, less than 5 minutes to get in and do his work, and probably half of that was me signing the paperwork. I'll tell you a couple of the other things that came up. So I think it was around like Iowa or something like that. We hit a terrible storm right by the river there. You can see the storm ahead. The sheer straight line winds were so intense. I thought the truck was going to blow over. I was afraid we were driving into a tornado or something like that. It was just a really terrible storm. All through the drive, you could see, you know, thunderheads, the big anvil clouds in the distance. Sometimes you could see multiple storms in the distance and thunderheads. And we drove directly through one of those that was just so intense. Again, luckily my dad was driving at that point, and you just kind of follow the tractor trailer ahead of you. Finally, the other thing I remember is on that drive, my dad and I were making good time. We were driving until it was pretty late, and then, you know, we would just find a hotel and check in, and we would basically drive until we got tired, roughly. Whenever we would wake up, we would get going again. I think I would set an alarm fairly early, just in case, but my dad and I, we wake up early, which is not great. I prefer to sleep a little longer, but on those occasions, it's not bad to make good time. So I think we were able to go a little faster than we expected. So on day one, you know, we started like sort of in the afternoon. We had the hiccups with the flat tire and then the strap issue. The point is, we were, I think, maybe like 2-ish hours away from Bozeman. We passed Billings, and we were gonna like stop and stay at a hotel like a couple hours away. It was so close, but we were tired basically. It's very interesting, you know, a little backtrack. If you haven't traveled like to this part of the country or to northern latitudes, you may not know that during the summer the days get very long, and when you're up in this latitude, like the sun rises and sun sets, they last a long time. So dawn kind of comes a little bit earlier, and then it lasts a little longer before the sun rises. As the sun's setting, you still have like a little bit of dusk, you know, a little bit of light in the evening. So that's relevant because we're driving, and it's good driving because it stays brighter for longer. So at 9 o'clock, I mean, 9 o'clock p.m., the sun's still up. And by 10:30, like the last sliver of light is still on the horizon, which means we were driving, and then we're like, oh shit, we're getting tired. We're getting a little sleepy here. And so we would pull over and find somewhere to stay, Super 8 or whatever cheap motel or hotel we can get into, Holiday Inn, Days Inn, whatever. Doesn't really matter. We pull off. It was around like Big Timber and maybe like Columbia, the small towns off of Interstate 90, kind of close to I think Highway 212, which is one of the paths. It's one of the gateways to Yellowstone, right through the Beartooth Highway. I may mix up the highways there. I think 212 is Beartooth Highway now. So we stopped somewhere around in there. Happened to have been a Friday night, which we did not realize. So we pull in and maybe, I don't know, it's like 10 o'clock, right? So we're getting tired, we want to stop. All the hotels were full in that area, and there's no other hotels to stop at, basically. We were a couple hours away, maybe an hour and a half, but a little bit farther than we wanted to be. No hotels were open. One of the reasons why that's relevant is I think we only had one air mattress, right? So we had one air mattress in the house, and the U-Haul was full, and it had our other bed in there, right? Our one bed that we could use. So all that to say, we didn't have a place for everyone to sleep. We made the decision to keep driving, right? We didn't have much of a choice, first of all. So we kept driving, and then I was like, oh, we can go by Walmart and pick up an air mattress, which we're going to pass on the way to the house anyway. So I'll just run in, grab an air mattress, and then we can go to the house and we'll unload tomorrow. That's one of the other things I remember, is driving in with my dad, trying to find a hotel, not finding one, and just pushing through. I think we rolled into the driveway around midnight after we got through the Walmart situation. So it was all good there. And then my parents came up a few times, which was great. My dad helped me move at that time when we were moving to the apartment that we stayed at. And then the following year, he flew up for like a week or 5 days, I don't remember, when we bought a house. Oh, I almost forgot, when we were driving cross country that first time in the U-Haul, we stopped by Mount Rushmore, the mountain with the presidents on it near Rapid City, South Dakota, because my dad had not seen it before. So we were able to take a little side trip, hop over to Rapid City, which was cool. It's one of the iconic places to stop by on the Great American Road Trip. Another road trip that happened a couple years later was my mom and dad and I drove from Pennsylvania over to Bozeman, and we picked up a similar route along the way, but obviously Pennsylvania is much further north, and my mom had not seen Mount Rushmore, so we stopped by there too. So my dad's been twice, I've been 4 or 5 times, and my mom got to see it too, so that was cool. Good memories driving into Bozeman. Like I said, I enjoyed the long road trip. There's something cool around about the Montana area, or at least like the surrounding states. Honestly, I'm in Wyoming now. It's pretty much the same as Montana. So, alright, I'm going to keep on driving here. There's a little bit less snow here, and there was a stretch back there, I guess, a little north of Casper, where there wasn't much snow at all. I think the next big town we're going to run into is Cheyenne. So, let's push on here. Overall, I made a really good time. I just got off the exit here, off at 25, and yeah, it went pretty quick. Yeah, made good time. Looking forward to stretching my legs and getting out of the car, drinking some water. These last couple trips, I've actually sort of dehydrated myself intentionally so that I would not have to stop as often to go pee. I think this is like the 4th the fourth drive up or down that I've done in the last 6 weeks or so, and for at least one of the trips, maybe one and a half of the rides of the 4, I had to pee really bad, and it was kind of like an emergency situation. So yeah, I tried to not drink that much. Here we are, me dehydrated. I'm almost home, and soon, just a few minutes, I'll be unloading the truck. And luckily, it's not like right at dinner time. When you arrive right at dinner time, it's like you want to eat, kind of relax. But in this case, it's not quite dinner time, so I'll be able to spend some time unloading and then settle down and have some dinner. Yeah, we did it.